And yeah, I just love what they were doing, living off the land, building their own shelters, capturing their own water, uh, capturing the energy from the sun, doing all the things that I eventually did on this piece of land. Because you have to. Because when you buy a piece of land that doesn't have the government services, you pretty much have to do it all for yourself. And if you're not like a rich person like most people, and I definitely didn't want to go into debt for the rest of my life and leave a debt to my children, So instead of, paying people to do everything for you, and just working a 9-to-5 job for the rest of your life, to be a debt slave, to be a wage slave, it just made more sense to me to do what they were doing, which is pretty much buy a piece of land that has nothing in it, or a jungle, and create a sustainable homestead. Because
how'd you actually do it? What did you actually have to do to get rolling?
Well, my situation was especially difficult, and the reason for that is because we didn't have anything on this piece of land. It was on a lava flow. In 1960, there was a lava flow that pretty much wiped out all this area. There's nothing left, The cinder cone blew over there and then covered the whole area with like 10 feet of cinder. That's why they called it the Cinderlands, Everybody referred to this whole area as the Cinderlands. But cinder's valuable, People love it for driveways. They use it to level ground, to grow things with it. And what they did is they mined it all out of here. Yeah. So mining companies started buying all the Cinderlands, and they took it all. So all the cinder was scraped all the way down to the bedrock again, to the pohoihoi lava that was here, And it was really challenging because there was absolutely no organic matter at all. It was just a solid rock.
Wow.
There was already a little bit of grass was starting to grow, peely grass, that grows on lava. But that was about it. There was cane grass here on the side of the road. Kind of like what it looks like over there, where at the end of the property you can see what it used to look like. There was a ton of cane grass here. And that was like the most biomass I had. That was like the most fertile place I had. Because beyond that, there was just a flat piece of property that had only pohoihoi in it, So the first thing I did is barricade the entire property with nitrogen-fixing trees. And there was a tree called the willy willy that is endemic of Hawaii, where you can cut any piece of it and just stick it in the ground, and it would grow. It would grow branches, and pretty soon it'd start rooting, and it fixed nitrogen. And it started breaking all the rocks down below, So it started fixing nitrogen in the ground. It started breaking up all that bedrock. And it kind of set the stage for this property to start becoming fertile. It also created like tons of biomass, because all the leaves and all the branches and everything that was fallen, it was all going back into the land, right? The roots fixing the nitrogen, the leaves fixing nitrogen too.
What did you plant next?
Well, after I barricaded the whole entire property, and I barricaded every campsite that I have, and there's 20, and I barricaded around all the circular driveways that I have here, and there's 6 of them. And I barricaded every fruit tree that I planted. We started planting fruit trees. We started planting seedlings, jackfruits, avocados, coconuts, sour saps, all the fruits that you see here, some mangoes, rolinias. These were the seedlings that were the hardiest. They're the ones that survived in an environment that was so hot and dry and hostile, So what we ended up at Cinderland is a fruit forest of these seedlings, that were the ones that survived, out of the hundreds and probably thousands of seedlings, that were spread out throughout the whole village, I mean, Cinderland basically planted itself. It was planted from the waste of the compost, from what we were eating, from the seeds we were tossing around, from the compost we were putting back into the soil and burying with mulch,
And how did it progress? Was it smooth and fun?
It was awesome. It started small, like all small things, I mean, like all big things start small. And it was just one day at a time.
What was the best part of it so far?
The best part of it is to harvest all those fruits, to have all these fruits, to have all these coconuts that we have, to have all these avocados that we have, to have all these papayas, to have all this jungle of fruit to harvest from, that's the best part. That's the fruits of the labor. To enjoy the fruits of the labor,
And how about the people?
Well, the people's been awesome at times, it's incredibly challenging at other times. But like anything in life, you got to take the bad with the good, So, I mean, for all the bad apples that you get, most people are good. Most people are excellent. Most people we can work with, But there's always those weeds, those rotten apples,
What do you do with them?
We weed them out. We got. If you don't want the whole place to just become a garden of weeds,
I hear you give them lots of chances.
Oh, we do. I give 3 chances. Pretty much. If you get 3 strikes and you're out. You get a chance to screw up 3 times really bad. But the people who don't make it here are the ones that the community doesn't want. Where they become so unbearable, that we just got to get them out of here, in order for us to have peace, And it's usually a consensus. I mean, no one really gets kicked out of here who doesn't deserve to get kicked out, who we didn't get a consensus from everyone, that they got to go,
And now, what is your best vision of Eco Village?
Well, after doing this for so many years and doing it in a piece of property that was just so harsh, that had no fertility in it, and all the experience that we learned, from having to do it really from the ground up, with very little resources. Well, it made me a believer that we can absolutely, without a doubt, restore any piece of land here on Earth, that we humans, our species, have destroyed, So I'm sold. If I was able to do this on a lava flow, we can do this anywhere, as long as there's water. So we had something going for us is we get 60 inches of water,
How do you collect it?
We collect it with our tarps. We have tarp structures that work really well for us. We have these industrial grade tarps, that last. Well, some of our tarps are going on 20 years, and wow. Yeah, they're amazing, So.
What's your ideal for the next structure? For the you mentioned the main structure for the next one, a permitted place.
Well, what's happening though is the climate is changing here, like it's changing everywhere, and it's getting hotter, and the winds are getting stronger, and we even got hit by a hurricane in 2014, Hurricane Isel, It was sustaining winds of like 70 miles an hour, Most of our campsites survived. Only I lost one, right?
Wow.
But the problem is that the hurricanes are going to keep getting stronger and stronger, Every single year since the last 10 years, it's been the hottest in recorded history,
I didn't know that.
We're emitting so much greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, that it's trapping the ultraviolet ray from the sun, more and more, and trapping all this heat in,
At least you're sucking some of it out.
I'm sucking as much as we can possibly sequester, This fruit forest doesn't only feed us, and it feeds the birds and all the other, creatures that live there, But it also sequesters tremendous amount of carbon, And it releases tremendous amount of oxygen too. It stores millions of gallons of water, you know, in its root systems. Because if you can picture this fruit forest, and now picture that in reverse below the ground in a root system. Well, all that you see up here is below in the form of roots, and all that is storing water. So millions of gallons of water gets stored here, you know. And when it dries, all this water evaporates. It goes into the atmosphere, which eventually condenses back into rain, you know. So I mean, it's like it's an ecosystem, you know, and it's the kind of ecosystems that we are going to have to create all over the world, you know, especially from lands that have been destroyed, you know, by our species, you know, because our species did that, not the other not that cat didn't do that. No, that cat species did not destroy. It's not destroying the planet. We are, you know.
And what's your ideal? Now I know you got to go. So I want to ask.
What's my ideal?
Yeah, like what's the best
Alright, so-
vision you got?
I've been cooking this for a long time, you know. I've been really thinking about it. What's it gonna take for me to be able to make a real dent, you know? To be able to scale this, you know? Because I mean, great, I did it on 3 acres. It took me 16 years, you know. It's done, it's established. Even if I walk away right now, this ecosystem is gonna keep doing all the things that I said it does, you know. But that's only 3 acres. And that's only X amount of carbon and oxygen and water. What if I could start buying first 100 acres, right? And what if I wasn't the only owner and the only person who's had all the responsibility, and I've been responsible for all the people who have ever lived here, you know, and I'm responsible for all the people that live here. You know, that's a lot of responsibility, right? And a lot of work, you know. But what if I was to share this responsibility, this work, you know, with 100 owners?